What's up guys, Steven Dux here. I've been getting a lot of questions for people asking me how to really stay consistently profitable. And I'm going to give you some tips that is going to help you guide throughout this process. So first, now a lot of people don't really look at their account statements because when you are trading, you have to go through all your account statements. And you have to kind of see, okay, where do you typically make the mistakes and what is your biggest loss? Almost all my losses comes from random trades that I don't know what I'm doing, and I kind of know because it doesn't really fit my criteria, but half of them fits the criteria. So it doesn't really fit the pattern, and I still use same amount of size to go into the trade, and that turns out to be a huge loss. Another one will be I'm keeping fighting the stock multiple times on a day. Fighting it once, fighting it twice, and third times. I'm keep getting more frustrated, and each time I'm using more and more size, I want my money back. And that will typically guide you through all the losses that I have experienced. That's the first thing. You need to look at your biggest mistakes, your account statements, and where you made all your mistakes, because that is how you can become truly consistent and profitable. Learn from your mistakes and make sure next time you can improve it and to get it better, or don't trade it at all, because in market, you don't really want to improve on your mistakes. You want to avoid risk as much as possible. So when you're making mistakes and you are keep making those mistakes on the same pattern, just don't trade that pattern anymore, and let's get rid of loads of mistakes. 2 years ago, I always think if I can improve on my mistakes and I can get better, but turns out to be I start focus and narrow down more and more of my own pattern, the best profitable pattern, instead of trying to improve on some pattern that doesn't really exist. Yes, the loss becomes smaller, but loss still a loss. So you want to get rid of all the losses and keep all the wins. And for beginners, narrow down your strategies. Start with one strategy, because you can't have that many strategies and everywhere you can't really narrow down your focus. You don't have that much equities as a beginner to trade all those patterns. Now, what I did is I test one pattern, I feel good about it, and I test about 10,000 samples or 1,000 samples to see what's the average win rate and how much do they happen per year. And I kind of simulate how much money I'm going to make per year, because, well, each strategy have an average gain. Let's say average gain is about 20%. The risk is about 5%. And you can kind of use in the account, let's say this pattern I'm going to use 10% of my account and I'm going to gain 20%. Next time that 20% of the profit add into the account, then use the 10% of the profit plus the account, put it into another trade, then you can make better gain. So it kind of snowballs and to the end of the year. Now in the meanwhile, I don't really trade other patterns, but I use paper trade to test other patterns to see if they works, because a lot of people go through the internet, they learn a bunch of patterns, but they don't really test it by themselves. Trust yourself. Test the pattern on yourself and to see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, get rid of it. If it works, make it your own. So that's what I've been through almost those 3 years. One of the most important thing is learn from mistakes, improve, and narrow down your strategies. The third thing is time-wise. So the market time is 8 to 4. And after hours 4 to 8. So all those times people don't really know where do you focus on. So the most volatile times it's between 9 to 11. And that's where I stay most consistent and profitable. And in the midday zone, I don't profit that much. Late day zone, I don't profit that much. Even though they say it's power hour, I don't believe it. I test it by myself, doesn't work for me, I don't trade it at all. And in pre-market, doesn't have enough liquidities, but I can kind of give you where the resistance is. I still don't trade at that time period. So the most volatile time, most profitable time is 9 to 11. I typically stay for those 2 hours. I give webinars to all my students in those 2 hours because we execute 90% of our trades between this time zone. Then later on, because I was studying from 9 to 4, and I wasted so much time just by focus on the best volatile time. I'm trying to figure out is there any pattern in the midday, but turns out midday is typically most consolidations and consolidation breakout or consolidation breakdown. That's only the two things that most of the time happens. Afternoon, then afternoon crack calls, after hour squeeze and all that, it doesn't really give you a good odds of it, except in very rare scenarios. So most of the patterns, they happen either pre-market breakout or bounce short, gap up short, they all happen in early morning. So people are looking for like full-time, part-time. I don't really suggest you to go full-time because the most consistent time is at 9 to 11. I filter out everything that I don't need it. I don't need the bad patterns, I don't need the midday, I don't need the power hour. I just focus on this specific 9 to 11 and I try to correct all my mistakes. Perfect your strategies, shrink down your risk, and increase your maximum profit. And that's how you really stay consistent and profitable. So that will be all for those 3 tips. Hopefully it's helpful, and leave a comment below and I will see you guys next video.